Are you in partnership with any of the local telco companies to try and make it available for free?
It's a good question. We get that all the time. Actually, when we were entering South Africa, so we're working to promote the service and to promote to get it out there. So we're available over SMS in Kenya. It's a free SMS line in Kenya, but that's Kenya only. And it was launched with the recognition that a lot of people didn't have data at that time. But not everybody had a mobile phone. And so, the way that I think about that, and now that's evolved to, well, you're available over Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp. And so, yes, it does, you do need to have data on your phone in order to be able to access the service, but it's all text-based nonetheless. And so the data requirements are quite low. A conversation with Ask Nivi, which is the brand that we have, is not that expensive for a person to have. And the way that I look at that question more broadly is that we always want to be with one foot into the future. And the future is that more people will have mobile phones. Data is getting cheaper and cheaper. I know on the African continent, it's still super expensive in general, but it is getting cheaper and cheaper year after year after year. So if you look at the trends in access to data and data packages on a per gigabyte basis, the costs are going down. For instance, in India, the costs are at the point where it's the cheapest in the world, literally, data access. And I expect the same in South Africa. And, having worked with telcos before, it's a painful process to integrate directly with a telco. And it's actually quite slow because the telcos have their own they have their own desires and own needs. And they're not, they're trying to serve many different audiences. And so integrating directly with a telco to provide a free service actually slows down the adoption of that service quite a bit because of the length of time it takes to negotiate a contract with a telco. And so when someone tells me, and I used to get this when working as an investor, I used to get the question, oh, we're going to go integrate with a telco. I'd say, no, don't do that. That's the worst idea possible because oftentimes telcos will strong arm you into bad deals where they may initially do distribution for you and get you out to hundreds of thousands or millions of people, but that will be a blip on a radar. And, if you're building a startup that you want, sustainability, you always see the hockey sticks, right? And all that. Well, you want a sustainable growth path. With a telco, it's going to be like a bell curve. You'll get a lot of users and then they're kind of like little kids. Telcos are like little kids. They'll be interested in you for a little bit and then they'll move on to the next shiny toy and pay attention to that. Anything that sort of increases their revenue. So it's hard to, as a startup, to start working with telcos. I always recommend establish your brand, establish your market presence outside of a telco, and then go to a telco.